Well, Cancer, welcome again to the segment. Dadhichi Toth here with your forecast for March 2015. I've got a feeling I may have said March 2014 for a few of them, I hope not. But anyhow, it is 2015. And that's my daughter screaming in the background. The drive for success continues with Venus, Mars, Uranus in your 10th house of profession, offset somewhat by the gloomy and plodding Saturn in your 6th house. That's just recently transited into that 6th house of work. So 10th house, we normally consider that the sector related to your professional, I suppose, elevation, the development of your professional activities, whereas the 6th house, which is where we see Saturn now, and mind you, it's in a good aspect to these two planets, Venus and Mars. It's more to do with the day-to-day affairs, your co-workers, the nitty-gritty of how you do your work and the work environment itself. So, notwithstanding the fact that there may be some sorts of challenges or constraints placed on you there, you still do have a very positive sort of relationship developing between these two. Well, they have just happened. The aspect between Venus and Mars and Saturn. So this is all good for your work. Having Mars up there shows you're full of physical drive and energy that will help you get the job done. And there is an important full moon that takes place in the sign of Virgo, the 3rd house of your horoscope. That's the moon opposite the sun on the 6th. And then that will develop into the new moon on the 20th, which will take place in the 9th house of your horoscope, which has to do with studies, journeys, and it's also an ethical and moral sort of sign there. So that 3rd, 9th axis has quite a bit to do with contracts, the clarification of communication, agreements, that type of thing. And that's quite likely, given the power and the weighting of all of those planets in your 10th house of career. Let's have a look now quickly at the transits as they move chronologically here. Excellent position of Jupiter in your 2nd house. Really good opportunities for finances leading up to the 3rd of March with Uranus in the 10th. It's a nice aspect between the two. You're able to try some different things in the technique in which you earn money. So some of the systems that we just talked about with Saturn in your 6th house can be much better utilized through trying some innovative new techniques in finance. Venus also in the triangular aspect to Jupiter from the 10th house. Venus conjoining Uranus in the 10th house. This is all happening around the 5th, just before that full moon that we talked about. But you do have also the hard aspect of Venus to Pluto in the 7th house. So if, for example, you've got business partners, your spouse or your romantic partner, they may be opposed to some of these new systems that you're trying to implement in the way you do things, and that's a bit of a problem. So you may not be all that popular. We see that from the square aspect of Venus to the Sun on the 7th of March, but a slightly better aspect forming for you, because all through this you do have, especially around the 9th of March, the trine aspect from the Sun to your natal position, depending on when exactly you were born. Then we see some really heavy-duty energies, positive again from Mars to Jupiter on the 10th, Mars to Uranus on the 12th, and the square aspect of Mars to Pluto. Mars following that faster-moving planet, Venus, in your 10th house. But whereas you might have been a little bit more congenial in the way you were doing things, Mars will make you much more aggressive, and particularly if, as I said earlier, you're not having the support of people, particularly those nearest and dearest, and you're going to be a bit aggressive in the way you get what you want to up until the 12th of March. Mercury moves to the 9th house on the 13th, so that heralds the start of a month of at least planning for journeys, travels, higher education, communication with people afar. And that Saturn in the 6th house, a couple of days later, goes into retrogression. So the element of working on what you want in your workplace is very strongly accentuated with that retrogression. Retrograde planets which appear to be moving backwards, give much, much stronger results. So you'll be very, very focused, Saturn being the planet of focus and concentration throughout that period for the next few weeks, trying to get things right in your workplace, with your co-workers, and again with anyone that's trying to obstruct you in how you want to achieve your professional objectives now. Venus moves to the 11th, much nicer cycle starting then, I'd have to say, for you Cancer. That starts around the 17th of March. And, you know, your ideals are really, really strong there. It could be that some of you want to rendezvous with someone at a distant place. I mentioned the travels, Mercury in the 9th house conjoining Neptune on the 18th. And that just precedes the new moon that I talked about in that 9th house as well. So this is the start of new plans for travel, journeys. For some of you, emigration, although that is the domain of the 12th house. But this 9th house does indeed have connotations for journeys and thinking through what you want to do with people afar. For those of you having long-distance romances, this is the time to communicate exactly what you want and plan very, very carefully for the future. Just one after another good aspects that I'm seeing here. The transit of Sun into your 10th house of career. This does, after the 21st, indicate some positive, at least tangible acquisition of a new position or a new job offer at that time, at least within the position that you're in, some acknowledgement for the good work that you're doing. The month's looking great. It takes us to the end of the month there with a rather difficult aspect from Venus to Jupiter. Don't give too much of your time or your resources to friends just now. They're not going to appreciate that. You need to maybe pull back a little and establish the value that you have with your social group now. Venus in trine aspect to Pluto, that's happening around the same time, 28th to the 30th, with the intense and transformative Pluto showing some changes for the better with your friendships at this time. That's followed on the last day of the month by an excellent transit of Mercury to your career sector as well. So that 10th house career and journeys is very strongly focused this month. I hope it's all beneficial, as I've said. No doubt some of you will let me know. You can send your messages to me at the bottom there. And I do hope you'll join me again next month, but not before visiting my website, astrology.com.au, where we have the daily, monthly and yearly forecasts in focus there for you, a bit more detail. Lots of free readings in our oracles segment. And don't forget, if you need a personalised free reading, myself and a lot of my peers here, available for you to do exactly that. See you next month. Take care. Bye-bye, Cancer.